Hello, everybody. So, is the US government making zombies? Well, not yet, but they could be very, very soon. Now, if you ask them, are they? No. But of course, it's because they don't mean to. They never mean to, right? All right. I'll hop in the chat here in a few minutes, but first, let's talk about this a little bit. I'm sure a lot of you have seen either the video game or the movie The Last of Us, dealing with a fungus that turns everybody into mindless zombies that just want to spread the fungus to other things. Well, some of you may know, but some of you may not know that that is actually based on a real fungus. It is called cordyceps. And there are 750 different species on the planet. They've just recently found 15 new ones. All right. Now, if you do a quick Google search on, uh, you know, zombie fungus, zombie virus, fungal, whatever you do, you'll have article after article of how it's not real, it's not possible. Scientific personnel coming out of the woodwork explaining how uh, it's just not possible because these fungus, not virus, these fungus, they have a hard time living past the temperature of 98.6 degrees, which for most people is what we run at. So they tend to have a harder time running past that temperature, surviving, thriving, growing, and reproducing past the 98.6-degree threshold. They'll also point out that people don't have to worry about funguses. Funguses usually don't bother people. There aren't really a problem with funguses. Well, first let's put a pin in that. Let's take a walk over to whatever Walmart, whatever Rite Aid you choose, and there are aisles and rows after rows of products designed to combat fungal infections of one type or another in human beings. So that kind of goes contrary to what all the mainstream science is telling us. There's nothing to worry about here, nothing to see here. Yes, there's no chance that a fungus could hop onto a person. I don't know, athlete's foot, anyone? Ringworm, toe fungus, and a slew of others. There are pneumonias that are caused by fungal infections. All right. You can simply Google most common fungal infections in humans, and it will give you a list. And some of it are from the same people that told you funguses can't can't jump to people. Okay, you shouldn't have to worry. Now, normally, yes, you wouldn't have to worry. Right now, at this moment in time, as far as I know, you don't have to worry about it because each one of these cordyceps funguses is specific to a specific insect species. Some attack ants, some of them attack spiders, some of them attack oh, the locusts, but we don't call them locusts, cicadas in Asia. Right? There are different ones for different insects, and it's not easy for them to hop from one species of insect to another. But the NIH, and if you saw my short earlier, the little clip I put up, the NIH, they're doing research on species adaptability. They're doing research to see how quickly they could have these things go from one species to another. That sounds a lot like gain of function. So how long theoretically could you have until they figure out, well, here's how we get it to hop to mammals? Now these are nasty little things, okay? Because and if you do any kind of research on this, you will quickly see that there'll be articles that say the HBO series, The Last of Us, was unrealistic. It's true. It's unrealistic because the devil is in the details. It is unrealistic because they primarily had these things people walking around, and it was weeks and months that they could be infected or They had to, like a zombie, bite you, or you had to breathe in the spores, or things like that. But these things would be far worse than a Walking Dead. Walking Dead, whoop-de-doo. If one of these funguses actually adapted to infect humans, it would be far worse because you don't have to ingest it. That was the whole principle of the Last of Us series. People ingested wheat that was contaminated with the fungus, and it started spreading through them. That's not how these things work. They simply fall on the surface. You simply walk through them. You brush up against them. They burrow through the exoskeleton of insects. It burrows through the hardened exoskeleton and then takes over. Literally controls. It alters behavior of insects. It only has a 4 to 10 day incubation period as it's growing before it actually takes control. And then it has these sporocarps. Yes, sporocarps. They called them a fruit blossom. A fruit blossom. That's a nice way of putting it. What this is these spores, once they get inside the body, they grow up, they take control of the central nervous system. They take control of the motor functions. And then they start coming out of the head, all right? Popping out of the insect's head. And then once it climbs to where it wants, so that a high elevation, grabs hold of a leaf typically or something like that, and it'll just hang there and it'll die while it continues to grow. The spore continues to grow. Then when it's ready, because it made the ant walk all the way up to the tippy top, it'll pop like a spore balloon, all right? And because it's up high, all the spores scatter with the wind and wait for something else to walk through, okay? So can you imagine this actually being gain-of-function researched and then accidentally being able to go into mammals and then proceed on from one mammal to humans, zoonotical? I mean, I heard about a virus over the past couple of years that was able to go from bats to, look at Ebola. It goes from monkeys to people. It's a zoonotic disease. So if these things would ever become zoonotic, where they went from one species to another to people, we would have a massive problem. All right? Because 4 to 10 day incubation period, by the time you got it and it's taken over and you start showing symptoms, you're done. You're done, son. And then just heads popping, pop, pop, pop. But there are other things that and carried on the wind. On the wind. Think about that. On the wind. You walk outside. You think you're safe. You're running to your shelter. Running from your shelter to your pole barn to get some supplies, and a spore particle blows onto you, and you don't even notice because it's just a little tiny speck of dust. Game over, son. There are more things. Rabies is number 2 on the list. Rabies. Now, a lot of people think, oh, that one, rabid dogs. We think raccoons. We think wolves, bats, Cujo. Okay, but it has a very high mutation rate. And yes, they study these things too. They try to figure them out. Try to figure out, well, what ifs? I don't like mad scientists playing what ifs with things that can do things like these on this board here. All right, because nothing really, really good can come of it by making things stronger, more powerful, more adaptable to their environments. Yes. Rabies, this is educational too. Rabies has not only bites, open wounds. If you had an open wound and the rabies virus got into it from saliva, you were going through a cave and a rabid animal had been there, you had a cut on your hand, you put it on there, guess what? You've got rabies. Okay? Okay. Scratches. If an animal scratches you, There's no reason to think, well, I didn't get bit. I didn't get bit, so I'm okay. Well, no. You seen animals? They eat with their little paws. So they get it on their paws, their claws. And so if they scratch you and you don't go to the doctor, game over if they were infected and they passed it on to you. All right. You have a maximum of about 2 weeks. That's the maximum to be treated. If you have rabies, if it's gotten into your body some way, shape, or form, you have 2 weeks tops. That's pushing it to get treated. All right. To get treated, you have to have the HRIG. It's the human rabies immunoglobulin. Immunoglobulin, not like the hobgoblin immunoglobulin. All right. This is given to you on day 1 to day up to like day 14, tops, day 10, to help treat it. And from what I hear, it's not a pleasant experience. So don't get rabies. But rabies has a 1 week to 1 year incubation period. All right. A 1 week to 1 year incubation. It can just be chilling in your body, just hiding in different parts of your spinal cord and stuff, and doing all kinds of bad things. But it is, from what I've read, it's no way to go out of this world. Okay. It won't be pleasant at all. The third way is prions. Now, we've all heard of mad cow disease. We've all heard that if you practice cannibalism, don't eat the brains, okay? Don't do that. Don't eat brains. Brains. That's the primary way that people get infected, is by eating brain material, either knowingly or unknowingly, and getting infected, okay? There are 3 different types of these things. Mad cow disease is caused by prions, okay? There are 300 cases of this per year in the United States, and they are researching these things. And if you don't think that they're part of the research includes bigger, faster, stronger, then you're just kidding yourself, because mad scientists want to know. And besides, if the U.S. government can weaponize something, they will. That's a fact. Typical contamination from prions comes from, as I said, first, food, and second, medical equipment. That's right. Lots of people get it. Out of those 300, a lot of them get it having surgeries, elective surgeries from somebody who touched something and didn't wash their hands properly while they were having lunch and give it to you. Okay? Yeah, that would suck. But is a zombie apocalypse possible? Yes. Is it probable? I'll leave that up to you to decide. But if mad scientists have their way, it'd be interesting. It sure would. It sure would. Let me hop in the chat here. Talk to my people. Forrest, how you doing? The comedian. Yes, a lot of people would be dangerous if they had half a brain. Now think of the people that already have half a brain, and think of how they would be with that deteriorating. All right. Think of the violence and basic urges. Food, kill. Food, kill. Yes. Where's Thumpkin? That's video game. Enter player 1. All right. Yes. Boss level type stuff. All right. Yeah. It'd be really bad. Foaming at the mouth is a sign of severe dehydration. You see that, they in trouble. Yes, because when they have the rabies virus, they don't drink water. It's hard for them to drink water, and they used to think that people with rabies were afraid of water, because the thought, just seeing water, would make people with rabies in their brain start to spasm. And it made people think, well, they're afraid of water, but they just don't have control of their swallowing mechanism really anymore, and they can drown easily. So Dynamite says, there are zombies among us. Jim Smith, how are you doing today? Jack Sutton, glad you can be here. You've seen what happened with the pandemic. Yes. But think of something like that, the top one, where a fungus adapts. Because again, there are 750 species of these things, 15 new ones just found. All right. That already infect things, living things, take them over, use them as a host, and are said and done with them in 2 weeks. All right. But within 4 days, they're already taking a hold of them. Now, think of how many people, the entire ant colonies are wiped out by this thing. The good thing is there is a anti-zombie fungus. All right. There's actually nature. Nature likes balance. I've talked about this in other videos. There's always balance. So there's a zombie fungus, and nature created a zombie fungus, anti-zombie fungus. This fungus kills this one. Okay, and that's the only reason the ants aren't completely wiped out in places like the Amazon and other tropical rainforests around the world, Asia, all over the place, because there's checks and balances. Okay, but where they find this one, there are entire colonies, and these are not small colonies. This isn't like your little ants that are out on the sidewalk. These are like 20-foot wide, 50-foot long colonies of ants that are just gone, just little husks with little spores all over the jungle floor. All right. Imagine that on a human scale. Think of how many, think of spores being let on a plane with 150, 200 people, on a train with hundreds of people, just walking through an airport, a ventilation system in a major mall. Think of how fast this would spread through the population. It'd be horrifying. Okay. Down the rabbit hole, making dinner. Awesome. Do your thing. Brush hog. LOL. Yeah, it'd be spores on. I'm tired of these. Yeah, Samuel L. Jackson on a plane. All right. Nature does what it needs to do. Nature does what it needs to do what it needs, and mankind destroys everything. A couple extra words in there, but I got what you're saying. Yes, mankind is very similar to a virus. And if you don't know that, then study how viruses work, and then compare that to how humans work. Okay. Replicate. Use all available resources. Okay. As this area becomes unsustainable, spread to a new area. Replicate. Use all available resources. Move to a new area and spread the infection. I was talking about viruses, but you can clearly see the parallel. Okay. Will nature clean out the White House? We'll save that for another day. Okay, I'll say. Now, I know some of you know that there's a Patreon, and I do not expect a bunch of people over there. I understand. I pour too, but there are certain things I can't talk about here because they just shut me down anyway. You've seen how they just end the streams. I started reading their terms and stuff, and I'm like, oh, that's okay. Like, you can't talk about certain places in Europe. Literally, they tell you this. If you actually read it, you cannot talk about this. Yes, right now. It's not free speech, but I can talk about stuff over there, and that's why I got some free stuff. I just copied it. There's one video that's here that's there, and then tomorrow I'm going to do a video. I will tell you about that real fast. Tomorrow, it's about threat assessment. That's what it is. Before y'all get off of here real quick, tonight at 7 p.m., The Prepping Artist because see, I go through and see what lives are coming up. That's why this is at 6 today. The Prepping Artist has a live at 7 p.m. I believe it's something about winter survival scenarios. Vision Preparedness has something at 8. If you've never been to Vision Preparedness, he's a very interesting guy. I mean, I like him. But Native Voice, you should know who he is by now. Native Voice, VOYCE, has a live at 8:05, talking about land and something about resistance. I think it was setting up for like counterinsurgency type stuff. Well, misinformation is the biggest threat to 2024. I would beg to differ, Coffee First. I never see misinformation as a problem. I see people's laziness as the problem, because all information can be misinformation depending on how it is put out. There's, information is information. There's true, there's false, and the truth is actually usually somewhere in the middle. So I'll take misinformation, I'll analyze it myself, I'll look at it, psychological operations, how to break down propaganda, SCAME, SCAME, source, content, audience, media, effect. Source, where did it come from? Audience, who's it look like it's targeting? Yeah? Oh, pardon me. Content, what's it about? Audience, who's it targeting? Media, how's it being put out? Is it being videos? Is it on paper? Is it high end? Is it low end? Look at all these things. Effect, what is the end goal? What is the end effect that this is having? You use that anytime you analyze information that you get, and you'll start seeing through bullshit. Through bull. Okay? Okay. SCAME. SCAME. Google it. PSYOP, SCAME. And it's not PSYOPs. It's not PSYOPs. You'll hear people say that have never worked in PSYOP. It's PSYOP. Okay? Yes. PSYOP. Use discernment. Yes. The comedian says, I've noticed they've upped their PSYOP game on us peasants, trying to scare the crap out of us more and more. Fear is a good motivator. All right, we're off of this now. Bam, that's done. Next topic, fear, okay? When we would target fighting age males in Iraq, okay, we did not target fighting age males. SCAME. Okay, the audience, source, content, audience. Our audience was who controlled the fighting age males. Now, just like over here, boys will be boys, and all good boys love their mamas. And in the households where there were fighting age males, Arabic culture is a mirror to old-fashioned U.S. culture. Men might run the world. People might say that. But when you get home, a lot of women, say, control the kids, right? Control the kids. And, they can give the man a hard time sometimes. But I digress. Women would typically control the kids. So we would target the mothers of fighting age males. And that would get a reduction in how many fighting age males were actually on the battlefield, because mamas don't want to see their little boys getting drone strikes. They don't want to see their little boys with black hoods on their heads at Guantanamo Bay or other places. Makes sense? Yes. Got an ad. All right. Well, I'll keep talking. The S is silent in Marine Corps. That's right. Yes. And kind of the P. It all depends on who you talk to, because core or corp. Core. C-O-R. Core. Hua. Hua. Tracking. Tracking like a tank. Oh. Fear can create quick, bad reactions. Yes, it can. Yes, it can. Do not react out of fear. Try not to react. Act. Okay? All right. Well, we've covered this topic. I will be putting out more content, more shorts, because people seem to have shorter attention spans. Okay? Bernard Shreve, thank you for being here. Militant Roots. But people have shorter attention spans. So I'll do lives. I went through the analytics. I see that most of you prefer live streams as to watching videos. If I post a video, it'll get a third of the views. If I do a live stream, it gets 3 times the views. So I will do lives for you as often as possible. I will keep you updated on any news that comes out. And yes, leave me squirrel. Yes, exactly. And we'll go ahead and we'll keep doing what we're doing. Live streams. If you prefer live streams, put a 1 in the chat. If you prefer videos less than 15 minutes, put a 2. Yes, Ruth Seller. Patreon is Warlord TV. There's one person there right now, but I'm going to be doing a video. I'm going to be dropping a video over there, and then in the future, I'm going to. I'm still studying StreamYard. So once I have figured it out and I feel confident in that, we'll be doing lives that are there, just for at least 1 a week for you guys that are there, and I'll put stuff in the Patreon that I can't put here because they'll ninja me. Okay. I'll try to do them. I'll try to do them in the evenings. I was again looking at the analytics, and 5 to 7 is about the time when it says you guys are most available. So it'll usually be between that time frame. All right, because I know people do have to work for a living. But thank you all for being here. And if a video comes on, just let it play in the background. Whatever. Check us out. Check us out. You all know I'm monetized now. I made 18 cents this week. Isn't that awesome? 18 cents. It's cool. But no, it's 18 cents I didn't have. And I was raised poor, so I appreciate 18 cents. You go ahead and laugh, but it's 18 cents I didn't have to pick up off the ground. So, I won't spend it all on place. I'll spread it out. I'll spread the wealth. All right. Good night. God bless. To my baby sharks, Daddy loves you. And I hope you never get a zombie virus. I'm out.